Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Rick bringing you another episode of Only Football. I will be joined by Kyle shortly. Today, we are talking Super Bowl headliners. We are also going to talk a little bit about the Pro Bowl, see if it was good or bad, and we're going to end it off with some NFL news from this week. Let's get it.
Is going on? We are officially, if you don't count this day, what are we, 6 days away from the Super Bowl?
6 days away.
When is it? It's 57?
50, yeah, sure.
2015 was 50, which would make this
57. You're right.
57.
57. Let's go.
We're getting old.
So basically, to put it plainly, we're getting fucking old.
We're getting old. We're going to talk about some Super Bowl headliner stuff going on right now around the league. Everybody has kind of shifted towards the most important game of the year, and maybe of any sport. You can make an argument. We had, I think, 400 million people watching last year, so a lot of media presence is to be expected. You have Fox, CBS, NBC, whatever. Every single person has left their studio and moved it to a portable studio outside of Las Vegas, or excuse me, is it in Vegas? No, it's in Arizona. Yeah, it looks like Vegas. But it's in Arizona. So are you there, Rick? Oh, okay. It looks like we lost Rick for a second. Oh, there he is. He's back. So let's dive right. No, you're good. I didn't want to continue without you. That's how much I care.
Love it.
So let's get into the Super Bowl headliners. Let's talk some meaningful stuff here. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
This is obviously Black History Month in February, and this is the first Super Bowl. Now we've had a matchup with two head coaches that were both black.
Yep. Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith.
And you would know that.
I would know that.
He's a proud Chicago Bear fan, and that might have been the last moment to be proud of. And they didn't even win the game. So, but now we have two black quarterbacks playing, and not only is this a Super Bowl of two black quarterbacks, this is two Super Bowl of two black quarterbacks that are arguably top 5 out of every quarterback in the NFL. And there used to be a time where it was said that black people couldn't play the quarterback position. Obviously, there's some discrimination about what is required to play quarterback and leadership stuff and IQ stuff, all of that. It just feels like it's nice that we finally exist in a time where not only are black people playing quarterback, but you can make an argument that the direction the NFL is heading, there's probably going to be predominantly black people playing quarterback. We talked about how it's becoming really important to be able to be a dual weapon using your feet. And we don't have necessarily, I can't think of any guys like that are white that can really use their legs. I know we got Josh Allen, but you think about your typical pocket quarterback, your Peyton Mannings, your Tom Brady's, even your Joe Burrows. They're not doing what Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields and Pat Mahomes. I could go on and on and on, but we are living in a different time now. The game is changing. It is how would you say? It's
just evolving.
Evolving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's evolving, and I think it's going in a good direction. The league is going in a good direction. I almost feel like this is long overdue, but definitely something to celebrate.
Yeah, no, definitely. And this is great because I mean, like you said, like you said, not only is it during Black History Month, which is just huge for, everyone. Um, And we had a couple good quotes. One of them being from Mahomes. He told reporters on Thursday, I've learned more and more about the history of the black quarterback since I've been in this league. The guys that came before me and Jalen set the stage for this. And now I'm just glad we can set the stage for kids that are coming up now. And Mahomes, I believe, was the 7th black quarterback ever to start a Super Bowl. Hurts now becomes the 8th. And he'll also be the 2nd Eagles black quarterback to start in Eagles star Donovan McNabb back in Super Bowl 39, I believe, something like that. So, like you said,
Yeah.
it's moving a very positive, very awesome trajectory, and the fact that this is the first time we're seeing to at least
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I actually didn't know that little piece about Donovan McNabb that you brought up, but I was pretty small when he took the field, but that was definitely by all means that was some incredible stuff that McNabb was doing. And you know
yep.
what's interesting about it is that um I wonder how much of it is like, hey, have you ever seen the movie Fences with Denzel Washington? It was actually a play that they turned into a movie. Phenomenal movie.
I never saw it, but is that the one where he's like where he plays the father of the kid, and that's like the biggest part of the movie, right?
No, I've seen that broken
No.
down into shorts though. I think that would probably be the
Oh.
most like publicized part of the movie. But you had
Oh. Okay.
you had his son who was playing sports, and he was doing really good in football and really good in baseball,
Yeah.
and he wanted to play sports, and his dad was like, no, you got to hold down a job. And he was kind of like, he had a lot of resentment because he said he was a better pitcher and batter than the guys on in the MLB, but
hmm
they wouldn't take him because he was black. And he
Oh.
was telling his son, like, don't be a fool and chase sports because it's not going to happen. The white
hmm
man's not going to let you take your place on the field.
hmm
So do something that can give you, get some knowledge, something they can't take away from you. Don't build your life into a sport that they can just take from you.
Yeah.
And the mom is kind of in the middle, like, hey, times are changing. There's black people in sports now. It's not like that anymore.
hmm
And you just when you hear like Jalen Hurts or excuse me, Patrick Mahomes say, to give credit to the people that laid the foundation, because what is seamless, not even something that I'm sure some have the blessing, the opportunity to just pursue the sport and not think about that. Where generations ago,
hmm
it was not like that. It was a
Yeah.
big deal, and to just take a moment and be like, I just want to thank the people that took that harassment, that took the spit on the face, that
Oh
took
yeah.
the risks and the chances and the racism that came with it, and just give credit to that, because who knows, if you never have those people that were willing to take those chances, the sport may not have evolved to what it is today.
Yep.
And we might be still stuck 20 years in the past if not for people. I'm trying to think. The Willie, I'm not a baseball
Oh.
guy, but
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
yeah, people. He was the first.
Hank
This is
Aaron. Hank Aaron.
embarrassing.
Hank
Is it
Aaron.
Hank Aaron? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball guy, but I do know that is another really incredible story about somebody kind of taking that chance. And those are the kind of movies that really make you like appreciate the people that laid the foundation
Jackie
for
Robinson. Why did I say
Jackie
Hank Aaron?
Robinson. I
Jesus
know.
Christ.
I know, Jackie Robinson.
I had to look it up. I was like, that's wrong.
Yeah, yeah, it's like Hank Aaron. It's
Yeah.
definitely not Hank Aaron, but we'll
But
move
he's
on.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta take a look back and definitely be appreciative and stuff like that. And it's
For
cool that
sure.
we get to watch this game because not only is it two black quarterbacks, like I said, it's two amazing athletes
hmm
that are going to be competing. And Jalen Hurts, as far as I'm concerned, deserves to be in the top 5 conversation. And I am just flabbergasted. I'm going to use that word, flabbergasted, by how underrated Jalen Hurts still appears to people. It doesn't make any sense to me how a guy can do what he's done. I don't care if he hasn't done it for a long time. When Patrick Mahomes was great the first time he laced up his cleats, nobody questioned if he was going to be great. They knew immediately, because when you see it, it's like not like he's going to get worse. We knew when we saw Mahomes that first year what we were in for. And I don't feel like Jalen Hurts is being given that same kind of evaluation, because they just did the Super Bowl roster, best to worst starting quarterbacks to ever play in the Super Bowl. And they had Jake Delhomme and Colin Kaepernick above Jalen Hurts. And I was like, wait a minute. Jalen Hurts has a better QBR. He had thrown for more touchdowns. He has more yards. Kaepernick had 14 rushing touchdowns in his entire career. Hurts had 14 this single year. This year had 14. And it's like and I'm pulling Kaepernick's best numbers from 2012 to 2014 to 2013. And I'm basically making a concoction of the best year he could have possibly had in every category. And Jalen Hurts just this year was better in every statistical category. And you still see Jalen Hurts not in top 10 conversations when they're talking about the best quarterbacks. He's not in a respectable place, in my opinion, for the quarterback rankings. And I guess I would just pass the question to you. Like, why is Jalen Hurts at this point not considered a top 5 quarterback in the league? And how much of that would change with the win over Mahomes?
I think he is. I mean, he's in the MVP running. I think with that, you already kind of are giving him some sort of respect in that aspect, as far as like a top tier quarterback. Now, is he top?
That's another thing. Kaepernick never was up for MVP, so I just don't get it.
Yeah, and I don't understand it either. But the good thing is that like Jalen Hurts has gotten to this point already, and that's where we kind of, can make that argument, like you're saying. Why wasn't he looked at like this, like Mahomes or whatever? And I think really what happened was like Jalen Hurts never was able to win the big game. He got replaced in Alabama. He never won it in Oklahoma. So what? What?
You can hardly say that, because he got benched, so we don't know what would have happened. And then
he was losing. That's why he got benched for a reason, because he was losing the game. But you know what I mean?
We don't know what would have happened. But then his rookie year, he didn't get to play till like week 12. In his first game he ever started, he became the first quarterback to ever rush for 100 yards and throw a touchdown in a win. And he became only the second quarterback in history to beat to win their first game against a team on a 9-game winning streak or more.
What I'm saying is, all the stuff in the past, that's kind of what you take and you use for the season. Yeah, I mean, you can only use the information that you have, right? You can throw anybody out there. Who knew Brock Purdy was going to be as good as Brock Purdy was this year, right? Absolutely nobody, because he went to fucking Iowa State. That's why nobody knew he was going to be good. 49ers picked him up with the last pick because they're like, yeah, we probably need a backup quarterback. Let's get this guy. No, that's what I'm saying. With the information given, that's kind of where we're at with Jalen Hurts. And like you said, I think the argument can be made that he is a top 5 quarterback. And real quick, I just want to get to a few comments here. We got Philly Sports Talk Podcast in the comments. What's good? What's up, Philly? How's it going, man?
What's up, Philly?
We got Tyler here. What's good, y'all? I just want to take a minute to say how terrible the Pro Bowl was, and you could never pay me to watch those stupid flag football games. One thing I was happy was Jair's pick 6. So we will be talking about the Pro Bowl in a bit here after we get over the super headliners. And we also have Unseen Pets in the comments as well. Winner takes all Super Bowl. So yeah, we're thank you, Unseen Pets, for joining us. We also got my mom in here. Hey, Ma.
I love it. I love when your mom.
And then Philly's responding to your question. It's all the Philly hate. No one would give us and Jalen Hurts recognition. And that's what I mean. Like, I think it's true. I think there is a little bit of that. Like, it's just, It's Philly, whatever. They won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. Just things like that. You can make up storylines with whatever you want to do. Right.
Well,
and then
can I just say one thing really quick? This
What's
is
up?
this is what's so dangerous about the media. I mean, dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a great thing if it's used in a good way, and it can
Yeah.
be a lethal thing if it's used in a bad way. And it has so much power over us. Like we didn't think Jalen Hurts was that good, but you know how I felt about him, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be really good. And it sounded like the weirdest opinion, right? You were like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about, man? Because nobody on the media was saying it. But my question is, why was nobody saying it on the media? Because he did take his team to the playoffs without a lot of the weapons. But
Yeah.
you would be surprised. I really believe that the majority of football fans are so heavily influenced by the media that
Mm-hmm.
if they just choose not to talk about a guy, then
Mm-hmm.
it'll just go to the wayside. But if they would
Yeah.
have blasted Hurts up like the way that Mahomes was, I think he would be considered a top 5 QB
Mm-hmm.
right now. But he's just kind of quiet, I guess. I don't know.
You can put Hurts top 5 this season in his whole career, pretty much. Um, Last year he was bad, and last year he was okay.
He wasn't bad
It's not like
last
he was
year.
bad. No, he wasn't bad. He had what 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He still had 3,100 passing yards. So I mean, he's improved in all those areas as well. His interceptions
You're
went down this
supposed
year.
to.
Yeah, his touchdowns went up. He started 15 games, which he did last year. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, Josh
Um,
Allen didn't go, right off. Like
yeah,
he had the same year jump that Hurts is having, right? That
yeah,
year 3 pop. And look at how everybody got behind that train. Oh,
yeah,
Josh Allen. Dude, Hurts is
absolutely.
doing the same level of stuff Josh Allen did.
And Jalen Hurts is this season definitely getting some recognition. Another cool little thing about this Super Bowl. This is also the youngest Super Bowl quarterback matchup in NFL history. There's a combined age between Mahomes and Jalen Hurts of 51 years and 337 days. That's the youngest matchup ever in Super Bowl history. So that's, again, this goes to what we've been saying. The future is here, man. These quarterbacks are next up. We put a post up, or you put a post up on Twitter saying Breeze, Roethlisberger, Peyton, Brady, all these guys are gone now, right? Like that era, that 2-decade plus era is over. And now it's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Hurts. All these new guys are popping up, right? Right. Trevor Lawrence, hopefully Justin Fields. God, I hope so. Lamar Jackson. All these guys are finally like stepping up to make the new era of golden quarterbacks. And I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I just have to say this. I was watching a YouTube short of Tom Brady against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And Peyton Manning and Eli were Manning cast calling Tom Brady what we found out was his last game ever. And it's just like, who would have thought that when Peyton Manning and Tom Brady were like on that who's better thing and they were playing every year in the playoffs in Indy and New England, if somebody would have told you, hey, Peyton Manning's going to retire after 18 seasons, so you'd be like, yeah, I could see that. And then he's going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame 6 years later. You're like, okay, all right, I'll buy that. And then he's going to be calling Tom Brady's last game from ESPN in the booth, and Tom Brady will still be playing. What?
That's literally insane. It's oh man, it's one of those moments where you're watching that and you're like, how?
Yeah, so it's like no matter, and I didn't read that on a comment or anything. That was literally just the mind of Kyle in that moment watching that, and yeah, that's why it's the youngest age, because every year it's automatically like at 80 because Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl. So you got to add 50 to whatever the age of the other quarterback is. So finally they got Tom out of the Super Bowl, and it's like, oh, this is the youngest Super Bowl ever. Yeah, I bet it is.
With Tom, it was the oldest Super Bowl ever. Let's move on to another one. So the Eagles, as the home team in the State Farm Stadium over in Arizona, are going to be wearing their green uniforms at the Super Bowl, while the Chiefs are going to be in their white uniforms. Philly is 1-2 in green uniforms at Super Bowls. They lost against the Raiders at Super Bowl 15, lost against the Pats at Super Bowl 39, but they finally did take that revenge win against the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. The Chiefs, Owen White, 0-1 in white uniforms when they lost to the Packers in Super Bowl 1. In Super Bowl 1, they wore white uniforms and lost to them. So that was the only loss.
People don't forget.
People never forget. But they are 2-1 in their red uniforms. And Mahomes has actually never worn a white jersey in a playoff game. Little things that, you can kind of pick out. And this is one of them. The Chiefs 0-1 in white unis, but the Phillies are 1-2 in their green. So, but what I will say, another little fun little stat about the jerseys and the uniforms, teams wearing white jerseys have won 15 of the last 8. What do you think? What do you think, Kyle? Does this have anything to do with anything?
Yes, it does. It does. And it matters if it matters to your team. The only time people care about something like this is when it's your team. I remember Super Bowl 48. We got our asses beat in the orange uniforms to the Seahawks. I mean, it was bad. And then Super Bowl 50, we wore white, and they asked why John Elway picked white. And he said, because we've never lost a Super Bowl in them.
That's right. There you go. Mic drop. It matters, people.
And so that's why I say it matters if it matters to your team, because I don't know if that same philosophy works after you continued and said the Chiefs are 0-1, right? So it's like,
yeah. I mean, it's one game. It's Super Bowl 1. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know how much it matters. I will say I think it's probably just the fact that the people that wear whites, I think, are normally the away team, which the away team would be considered away because they have a worse record, which normally manifests as the team that is the underdog. So I do think all we're really talking about here is that underdogs win the Super Bowl 55% of the time, which is pretty cool. I'm sure there's a couple in there that are like, no, we chose white, like a Cowboys or something, but no, they haven't been in 20 years. So, but I don't know how much it really matters. I know the psychology of the colors, like that's why we wear bright orange, is because they've done studies that it really does mess with players. It's very distracting and stuff like that, but it's the freaking Super Bowl. Nobody's gonna be winning or losing the biggest game of their life because of the green or white jersey. I mean, it's just like one of those fun headlines that we get to talk about, because it's like, what are they gonna wear? Because it is cool, because it is the photographic memory that will live in our heads for the decades and decades to come, and it is important. When I think of Von Miller strip sacking, I think of us in white uniforms. I don't think of us in orange, because that is what they wore on the Super Bowl. So it does matter.
That's just a loss, right?
It's just the way it is. That's kind of my take on it. What do you think?
It's tough. It's tough for me because like I'm such a superstitious person. I really am. Like I'm just like, and you, if you guys have watched us during the season, our very first season as a podcast, right, through the NFL, I was like, I picked the Bears to lose and they won the game, so I'm picking them to lose next week. So then they reverse it. You know what I mean? Like that's superstition, and that's being a fan. So I love that they're able to be like 15 of the last 18 Super Bowls have been in white uniforms. The Chiefs are 2-1 in red, 0-1 in white. The Eagles are 1. Like I like that shit, and I do think in a sense it matters, just because you can attach a record to it, and it makes somewhat of a difference in, like you said, in decades to come. 50 years from now, depending on how many Super Bowls either of these two teams go to, they're going to have either a winning record in their green or red uniforms, or a losing record in those, and then a winning in the white or a losing in the white. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff adds up, and it just adds to it. It's like John Elway, we never lost in white. That's why we wore white. And it just reinforces that fact for not only you as a fan, but for the players and like John Elway, the GM, right? Like that happens. So I think it does make a difference. But But also, it's kind of like, well, 3 of them won in non-white uniforms. The Packers, who was it? The Packers, the Steelers, and the
Wait. Let me try. Packers, Steelers, and
no,
we're talking.
Packers. Sorry, Packers won over the Steelers.
Yeah, and the Packers were in green.
Yep,
So that's one. And then
that's
you
one.
got I'm going to say the Ravens over the 49ers.
No.
The Ravens were in white.
Well, I think they were in white because I've got all 3
Oh,
here.
the Giants. The Giants.
No.
Damn, I suck at this game.
Yeah.
What are they?
So it's the Green Bay Packers win over the Steelers in
Mhm.
Super Bowl. What is that?
2010. So
45. Yeah.
45. Yeah.
Yeah. Eagles win over the Patriots, the one that just happened in Super Bowl 52. And then the Chiefs win over the 49ers 54. Sorry.
Oh.
So those are the 3 in the last time that the teams not in white. Sorry, I should have specified. The teams that were not wearing white uniforms have won. Yeah. So yeah, like you were saying. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool little superstition to follow, and I like it. So
yeah, and it's also a little like it's a little sizzle to add to like let's say you're like, yeah, the Eagles are definitely gonna win. I don't want to talk about it. They got a great defense. Jalen Hurts is unstoppable. And then they're like, hey, 22 out of the last 25 have been wearing white. The Chiefs are wearing white. It's just a little something to be like, so
yeah. Just to get at him.
Yeah,
like
then
Philly
you get
sports.
I was gonna say, then you get it by yourself, and you're like, "Does it matter? Does it matter?"
Like Philly Sports Talk podcast is hearing this right now, and he's like, "Oh fuck." Real quick, let's get to the chat. Bill is here.
What's up,
Cheers,
Bill?
Cheers to everybody. Tyler, Philly, Unseen Pets, my mom, everyone. Cheers to everyone. In late. I think we were wearing white both times we won recently. I think so. I think the Giants did wear white, the white unis when they definitely were in white when they beat the Pats. So
which
for
time?
Sure. Yeah, which time, right? Which time? So for sure. But thanks for that. Thanks for that little note, Bill. All right, next one. Obviously, we know, and it's been beaten to death, the Kelce Bowl. That's the Travis and Jason Kelce are 2 brothers. Each already have a Super Bowl. Travis with the Chiefs and then Jason Kelce with the Eagles in 2017. Both top of their positions. But the biggest storyline, and it's not even about them, it's about their mom, Donna Kelce, someone who has worn the the combined jersey of both the Chiefs red and the Eagles green, with just Kelce in the back to support both of her sons. There is an online petition started for her to
pick a favorite.
To do do it. Pick your favorite son. We know you have one to perform the coin toss at the Super Bowl. Now,
wow, that would make me cry.
And wouldn't that be like awesome? That would be insane. And there's already 35,000 signatures, which I mean makes it like gain traction. But I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. She's the first mother in NFL history to have her 2 sons go head to head in a Super Bowl, which is also a cool, interesting thing. But I just don't think it'll happen.
But why not?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, why doesn't the NFL lean into this? Right? Like, do it. Do you know how fucking cool it would be for everybody watching? Like, not only are we watching for like Rihanna and like the Super Bowl halftime show and the commercials, and obviously the game being played, which is the biggest part, but little things like that would just make it so much more like, I don't want to say watchable because Super Bowl in itself is already watchable, but it just makes it that much more appealing.
Yeah, you got to like think about your okay. You want to know like how many, like if you want to really sell something, you gotta hit them right here in the hearts and the feels.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You want to sell a wholesome football game, have a mother of her 2 sons that are about to play in the Super Bowl flip the coin. Like, could you imagine every household in America would just be like, oh, his mother's out there. She's probably gonna cry, And it's I mean, I just think that's so wholesome. I think they should, like you said, they should lean into that. And I grew up extremely, and I still am really close to my brother. So he's 2 years older than me. And man, when I tell you, we would play football for like 14 hours a day barefoot, just running around on the Florida pavement, burning our little feet and throwing purposeful passes. So I catch it and I run into a mailbox, like just, just trying to get me laid out by that mailbox. I never got over it. But
Your
dude,
bones
like,
are made of rubber. They're fine. You're a kid.
yeah. No, I was fine, but it was really, it was a collision.
Yeah.
Because the mailbox actually weighed more than me, probably. So, um, but that's the dream. That's the dream. And I remember I used to play basketball a
Yeah.
lot too. Those were my two sports, and we would play each other. And I would shoot the ball and be like, if I make this shot, we're gonna be in the NFL together. And like, if it doesn't go in, you're like,
Yeah.
give it back to me. If I make this shot, we're gonna be on the same team
Yeah.
together. You just keep doing that until something happens, and you're like, just the thought of like actually being able to play in forget a Super Bowl, to play. I got to play with my brother on the same high school team. That was an incredible experience. And then to
Yeah.
think about like playing in a Super Bowl, um, I mean, man, dude, they say making it to the Super Bowl is like winning the lottery. Um, I mean, making it to the NFL is like making it winning the lottery,
Winning the
but
lottery. Yeah.
getting into the Super Bowl is even harder. That's why you have Dan Marino's that never got in, and
Yeah.
so to really like appreciate how rare this is, that one household has two brothers that are going to be playing each other in the Super Bowl. I feel like, I know you said it's been talked about a lot. I don't think it could ever be talked about too much. It is literally it's a really special thing, and it definitely is gonna I think it's gonna make a lot of people, whether they know about this or not, maybe they don't even watch football, but it's a Super Bowl, so they watch it. I think it's gonna make a
Yeah.
lot of people call their brother, maybe some people that
Yeah.
haven't talked in a while. Because it's definitely going to be a huge storyline that we're going to see when we're watching the pregame and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see some of those interviews that I'm sure are being coordinated right now,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. And if they could get the mom to flip the coin, talk about literally the definition of cherry on top. Like
Absolutely.
that would be amazing.
It would, and then that's what Bill's saying too. He's saying that would be freaking awesome if the NFL passes on it. They're missing an opportunity. Exactly, I think so too, because you say you say about how you play with your brother. My brother and I almost played on the same like pee wee football team, and I thought that was gonna be cool, right? Like I'm a wide receiver, he's like on the offense and defensive line. Like it was gonna be so awesome to just be on the sidelines with your brother, get in the game, talk, do things like that. So the fact that these two guys are going against each other and they won't be on the field at the same time, at least I don't think in any situation. But I just, that's such a awesome moment. And it's funny how you say, like, if I make this basket, we're going to be in the NFL. It's always like 3, 2, 1. Oh, there's an additional 3 seconds on the clock. Where did that come from? And you shoot another one until you make it.
That is literally, man.
It's
and
great.
I feel bad for the smartphone generation because they're never going to play that game.
They're really not. They're really not. They don't understand it. They don't get it. Where it's like, oh my god, 3 seconds is actually added to the clock. You shoot another shot. It's great.
Let me tell you one more quick thing. When me and my brother were on, I'll probably never have an opportunity to tell this story besides right now. When we were on the same team, we were running an Oklahoma drill. So you got two people laying down, a ball carrier and a guy that's supposed to tackle him, and then like an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman, and that's it. And then you got to stay within this small space. My brother, okay, there was no freshman JV varsity. It was like you're either good enough to be on the one team or you're not good enough to be in. So I was a freshman. I was I was just starting to lift weights and stuff. And my brother was the punt returner, the safety, the wide receiver. Like he was a stud and he was thick and I was tall and lengthy. We're just built different. And he thought I was this guy named Jordan that he absolutely hated because his dad was pumping him with HGH. And I'm laying on the ground and the coach goes, Daddy loves me more or something like that. Like, cause he knew it was the brothers. I guess my brother didn't get the memo that I was the guy on the other side. So he blows the whistle. He gets up. Yeah, I tried to make the tackle, dude. He straight up ran into me so hard that I literally, dude, it's like I can't even explain what that felt like. And my brother's face, though, when he got close to me and realized that it was me and not Jordan, and also the awareness to know it's too late, get ready for
Yeah.
the train.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, Tyler!
What the fuck, dude?
Dude, we talked about this.
You said you'd let me go. Oh, that's great. That's great. Because my brother and I would before practices, because we ended up, being in separate teams or being in separate levels, we would do Oklahoma drills just in our backyard, just to
Oh,
like right
God.
before practice, just to like get pumped. You know what I mean? And it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun.
that's awesome that
Um,
I appreciate that. That I can
yeah,
say Oklahoma drills, and you're like, not only do I know what you're talking about, me and my
yeah.
brother ran them in the
Oh,
backyard.
dude, we used to fuck each other up, and it was so much fun. All right, another cool little anecdote. And these next two are kind of like, well, I mean, actually, I'll hit you with a better one before I get the last two little ones. Former coach of the Eagles, obviously, right? He had a really good career with the Eagles, coaching wise, right? Like, you look at his career with the Eagles, and you're like, that's a Hall of Fame coaching career. Would it be
Ah,
crazy? And I don't think it would. Yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah, you're right. No Super Bowls. But would it be crazy to say that he's had an even better one with the Chiefs? He's had an
no,
even better career. Yeah, and it's
not
not
at
crazy
all.
to
He
say.
has.
Yeah. He coached the Eagles between 99, 2012, had a 130, 93 and 1 regular season record, as well as a 10 and 9 postseason record, and obviously the Super Bowl loss against the Patriots. But with the Chiefs, he is 117 and 45 regular season and a postseason record of 11 and 7 with the Super Bowl win with Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs
That's
team.
really effing good, dude.
It's so good, and it's just like, wow, like you look at what was I going to say? You look at careers like, oh, Tom Brady's a good one. His 2000s and his 2010s could be two complete separate careers, and they would be outstanding. They would be like great careers for any one quarterback to have in a decade. He had 4 years in the league, something like that, and he amassed two Hall of Fame careers in a sense, right? In those 24 years. And Andy Reid is doing that with the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Eagles fans, and I'm sure Philly Sports Talk would say the same, right? Like they have mad love for Andy Reid because he was a very good coach for them. But he's just been way better with the Chiefs. Like the record says it all, and obviously the Super Bowl win.
I think it's gone like this. I think he had the career in Philly, and it was like Andy Reid is a very good coach. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what people thought of Andy Reid. They fired him. Sometimes I think people get fired not because they're a bad coach, because it's time for a change. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I think Mike McCarthy had 2 bad seasons, but you could hardly say that like if he started winning Super Bowls with Dallas, um, let's say they get a quarterback that's better than Dak Prescott, that wouldn't be that
Mm-hmm.
hard to do. And they start winning Super Bowls, it'd be like, why did Green Bay get rid of him? Because sometimes it's time for change. That's all.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I think he was a very good coach, and then he went to the Chiefs, and then he was still a very good coach. And then Alex Smith and the Pat Mahomes had the turnover. They turned over. No, not a turnover, but you get what I'm saying. They switched spots. Yeah. And then obviously 5 straight AFC championship games, but also you win that first one and it was like, okay, they went to one, they lost, right? They lost to Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to another one. God, I'm getting old. I can't even remember the order of things. So they lost to
Let me
Tom
remind the
Brady.
world.
Oh, no. They beat the 49ers and then they lost. Didn't they go to the Super Bowl back to back
The Eagles?
years? No, the Chiefs, didn't they? I think they went 2
Yes.
years in a row. I mean, that's really impressive, man. So
Yeah,
you go
it
to
is.
that first one and you win, okay? And then it's like, is it Andy Reid or is it Patrick Mahomes?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you're flirting with Hall of Fame, in my opinion. You win
Mm-hmm.
another Super Bowl, catapult,
Yeah.
surefire, first ballot Hall of Famer. And
Oh
I
yeah.
do think it would be almost poetic justice if he could pull it off against the team that let him go.
It would be insane, and that's one of the big things that you're looking at in this game is like, does he have the success that he's had with the Kansas City Chiefs against his former team, or does his former team actually beat him after firing him in 2012? And you make a really good point there. It's not necessarily he was a bad coach, and Philly Sports Talk says here, kind of says the same thing, but it's just like it's time for a change. He's saying the problem with Reid was time management, and he didn't have a time. And if he didn't have a time management problem, we could have had 2 rings. So
Interesting.
so
You would
those
think a guy that's been in that long. To me, time management seems like a fundamental. And I always find it
yeah.
weird.
Yeah, and that just kind of goes to your point where it's like it's time for a change, because it's like, dude, if you're not getting it in the 14 years you've been in this organization, I don't think we're gonna move on to the time where you do finally get it, and we finally are able to win a Super Bowl. And obviously they won a Super Bowl, but that was way after they fired Reid. But it just goes to your point where it's like, when it's time to move on, it's time to move on. There was nothing
Yeah.
wrong with him except the time management piece, like Philly was saying. There wasn't necessarily anything success. It's just like he just couldn't win the big game, and just sometimes he put us in bad position to lose these games. And like you said, you just got to move on sometimes.
Yeah, and to be completely honest with you and everybody that is watching, the the whole, like, is it the coach or is it the player? I believe it's always the player. I believe that great coaches make players better. I do believe you have to have a good coach, but I also believe if you put Andy Reid on, let's say, the Texans or the Panthers, right? You wouldn't have a 15-3 team. Like, why is it that the best quarterbacks happen to have the best coaches? Is that just a
Yeah,
coincidence? Is Bill
yeah.
Belichick all that great when Tom Brady left? Here's an exception to the rule. Kyle Shanahan. I do believe Kyle Shanahan. I do believe Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I do believe that they're just a couple of coaches that will find ways to win. But I think
Mm-hmm.
a majority portion of the pie when it comes to coaches, you look at it. Tony Dungy, Hall of Famer. Peyton Manning. I'm just like,
Yep.
is that a coincidence, or is it just Andy Reid, Hall of Famer now? Who's his quarterback? Mahomes. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it's almost like the opposite is true too, where Justin Herbert, a great quarterback, we all want Staley to get fired because we're like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, if you can't win with Justin Herbert, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, that's like a really good sign that you're a bad coach, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
if you, I guarantee, if Andy Reid or whoever Bill Belichick was coaching a team with Justin Herbert, they would have at least been able to win that one playoff game against Jacksonville. So I just always believe that players have a lot more power and coaching is a little overrated. I think
Mm-hmm.
coaching is important to build culture.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can underestimate culture because that's almost everything. Like, we're going to talk about NFL news and some Sean Payton stuff, but without the culture, it can be chaos. You need order, you need boundaries, you need
You
yes and no people.
you want to come into work and be happy about coming into work, because
Yes.
it's work for these NFL players. For me and you, it's like that's a dream come true to be in the NFL. For the NFL players who have been doing this for years, it is work. And this isn't to say that it's a job, right? Like, it's a job and work are 2 different things. It's work for them to come in, and they want to come into a situation where the culture is good, where you can come in, say hi to everybody, what you're doing, that you and your coaches have the mutual respect as grown men to have these conversations, to have these practices, this and that. Like, you don't want no like
Urban
sly
Meyer.
shit. Urban Meyer, yes. You don't want your coach staying in Cincinnati, getting smelly fingers before heading back to practice. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the shit you want. So the culture is huge, and like you said, the coaching is big. And Bill and Bill saying Brian Dable has entered the chat. We'll
Great
see.
example.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, you see what he did with Josh Allen, and it's like, okay, that's another one of those chicken or the egg. It's like, yeah, but that's Josh Allen. It's like, yeah,
exactly.
exactly. That's
Exactly.
exactly right. That is Josh
Yep.
Allen. How did he get there?
Yep.
And then Daniel Jones, wash, throw him away. Then he had the best playoff game. I mean, that nobody could have predicted he would have balled in the playoff game. So it's just, there are coaches that can make players a lot better. And I think coaching is important. But when it comes to dynasties, like
Mhm.
8-year, like there's only a couple. In my opinion, the Chiefs are on one right now. And I've been saying that for 2 years.
Mhm.
And I would say the moment you go back to back in a Super Bowl, if you make it to the AFC Championship game the next year, and even if you lose, like if you stay relevant for about 4 years, you're on a dynasty.
Yep.
And the Patriots did it, and you had Tom Brady, and now the Chiefs are doing it, and they have Mahomes. I think you can win a lot of football games with a great coach, but it takes a great quarterback to get on a dynasty.
Definitely, definitely. I've got a couple little ones left here. Have you seen the show The Last of Us yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so
I
it is
must
an
be the
eight.
last of us to watch it.
You really are, because The Last of Us has been on HBO for about 4 weeks now. My wife and I really love the show, and if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go take a watch of The Last of Us. HBO sponsor us for that. So Last of Us usually premieres on Sunday. Obviously, what's happening on Sunday? Super Bowl. So, because of that, they're actually going to be premiering their 5th episode of this season on Friday, just so they don't have to compete with the Super Bowl. Like, that's huge. And
Wow.
and this show is like, this show has amassed millions of viewers in the first 4 weeks. So it's insane to be like, you know what? We know where we are in terms of entertainment. We're just gonna take a step back for the Super Bowl to get ahead of us in line.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really cool thing.
Well, you've heard the term money talks, bullshit walks. Well,
Yeah.
how about money talks and money makes HBO walks? No, I think it's
Because
a
of,
mutual. I think it's a mutual thing. It's like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
it's how. Another thing is like you're not supposed to have any big headline things the week of the Super Bowl. It's kind of
Mhm.
like a mutual understanding within the NFL, but it's not necessarily a written law. So when Mike McCarthy or Jerry Jones obviously has beef with Roger Goodell, and he
Mhm.
works for or what is it, or the Super Bowl is on Fox.
Mhm.
So I think, what was it?
CBS, one of them.
Is it CBI? Yeah. Jerry
Something like
Jones
that.
wanted to like do a middle finger to Goodell. So what did he do? He fired his offensive coordinator in the middle of the Super Bowl.
Oh
Like
my
little,
god.
those are like little things that people don't notice, but
Yeah.
they're intentional. They're
Yeah.
and this is the intentional in the opposite way. HBO's being nice. They're like, "Hey
Yep.
man, we're not going to release this because you know what? As much as we could say they're doing the NFL a favor, they're doing themselves a favor.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to release something the day of the Super Bowl, you better expect a plummet in numbers, right?
Very much so.
It would
Very much
make
so.
only it would be it's like a win-win. It only makes sense to move it. But that just shows you the power of this Super Bowl and how much revenue. And again, we looked at those numbers.
Mhm.
400, was it? No, it was like 200 million people watch. I mean,
Yeah.
I know numbers sometimes they just seem high, but when you really think about 200 million people, you may not be able to get 200 million people to do anything other than that at the same time.
Mhm.
That may be the
Mhm.
one only thing in the United States that you could get 200 people to do at this 200
It's
million people do at the same
yes.
time. And it's also an opportunity, right? We're all doing it at the same time as a unity moment. Here we are
Mhm.
all together as a country doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's a rare opportunity, and HBO doesn't want to F it up.
Exactly, exactly. So, and again, it speaks to the power of the NFL and what the Super Bowl as an event has done to the country. Because you say 200 million people, that's almost 2/3 of the country
That's insane.
watching one thing at the same time. It's insane. Um, so one last thing, and this is NFL rigged. You've seen
Oh,
the
yeah.
memes, the scripts. Arian Foster talked about it on a Barstool podcast about we received a script, we ran the plays, we were supposed to do this, and then you got all the
No.
memes afterwards. It was so funny. I'm surprised you've missed this.
Is
This
he
is great
bullshitting?
content. I don't know. Like a lot of people are saying like they put up memes and stuff of like Tom Brady getting the script for his career as rookie year, and he's like, oh, this is gonna be dope. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
my
it's just
God. That's
things like
awesome.
that. So it's
Dude,
funny.
Tom Grassi just started doing that too. He's
Hmm.
got if the NFL was scripted and it's like him sitting down with him,
Hmm.
but it's like two angles. And
Yeah.
he's like, okay, you're gonna win the Super Bowl in 2010. And talking to a Packers fan, and
Yeah.
they're like, all right, the next year, and then it's like it's just these high hopes. And I thought, dude, that would be so funny for like any, like, think about your team, like, or
Yeah.
the Cowboys one, and it was hilarious. I was like, a
Hmm.
Broncos one would be like, you're getting Peyton Manning in 2012. Really? Yes. You're gonna go to the Super Bowl 2 years later. No, really? Yeah, but you're gonna lose by 40 points. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
We go back
So
the next year? No. What about the year after that? Yep, you're gonna win one, but then Manning's done. Oh, and then
but
you
we
won't
got
go.
one.
Yeah, and then you won't go to the playoffs for 6 years. You'll be the worst team statistically from a Super Bowl loss. No one's ever done anything like it. But then we're gonna give you Russell Wilson. We're back. No, he's gonna have his worst season ever. But we'll give you Sean Payton. It's like
Let's go. Let's go.
yeah, the
So
roller coaster. This
it's
is
just up and down, up and down. Shit, that's being an NFL fan right there. So with that being, do you remember, Kyle, what the last Super Bowl was played in Arizona between what two
yes,
teams?
yes. This is a good trivia. It was
Yeah, who
Arizona
was
and
it?
Pittsburgh.
It was Arizona. No. It wasn't Arizona and Pittsburgh. It was
Oh,
not Arizona and Pittsburgh. The
uh,
last time the Super Bowl was played in Arizona
oh
was
no, no,
between
no.
the Patriots
Oh, yeah.
and the Seahawks, where the
Wow.
Seahawks were at the goal line pretty much at the one or the two, and
No, and
they
they
did
didn't
not
run the
run the
ball,
ball. They
which was
passed.
Russell Wilson's turning point.
That's what it was. They passed it. The Patriots intercepted it. You cut to a Wilson just clapping his hands, being like, damn it, I missed that. And the Patriots were going on to win their sixth Super Bowl, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or fifth,
No, that
something
was their
like
third.
that. It was, oh, that was their third. Yeah. Because you always
One
bring up the
second,
point
I
about
gotta
Russ.
drain. I gotta drain.
Yeah. You always bring up that that part about if they hadn't have won that, Russ Wilson and the Patriots would have had two each. So those are the super headliners. The last time the Super Bowl was played in Arizona was that infamous Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl. And yeah, so those were the super headliners. Really interesting stuff. Let's move on now to our Pro Bowl discussion. I guess we didn't really watch it, right? We didn't really kind of take a look at it
I
necessarily, but
glanced.
yeah, and that's what I did. Like my wife and I were like getting stuff done, and I'm like, all right, well, let me just throw the Pro Bowl on, right? Like let's see what the NFL has cooked up for us, and and the Pro Bowl was like Russ Wilson in the kitchen because he cooked up some bad shit. I get it. I get the safety. I get the safety behind the players. Obviously, what happened from Damar Hamlin in the week 17 season or week 17 of this season or 18 was insane to watch, and it was bad. But the flag football, that was a rough watch, Kyle. That was a rough watch, and it's just like you can't block. Tyreek still got laid out by Jalen Ramsey somehow. Like I don't know, there was just a lot of stuff going on in the flag football. What were your like thoughts on it, or what did you see?
Oh, I absolutely loved it.
No, you didn't. No,
no,
you.
I did. No,
Oh
I
my
did.
god.
It's really cool because when you become an adult and you aren't in the NFL, the only way to continue to scratch that itch is to play flag football.
Yeah,
So,
good point.
and
Good
if
point.
you've actually been in like flag football tournaments and stuff, there is like an actual philosophy and way to be good at flag football that is way different than tackle football.
Yeah.
So there's less players, and I mean, I just thought it was something I never thought I would see. I got to see. Like I got to see Tyreek Hill rush the passer. Like I
Yeah,
got I got to
that's
see
true.
Turpin rush the passer. I got to
Yeah.
see Peyton Manning be a head coach. My dream.
Yep.
I got to see the whole Peyton versus Eli thing. I heard Pat
That
McAfee
was cool.
called the game. I thought that was really cool. And what I really appreciate is that Peyton Manning in his Hall of Fame speech, he said, "We have a duty and responsibility to protect the integrity of the game of football moving forward." He had commissioner type vibes in his speech. If you actually
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
listen to it, it was different than anything I've ever heard before. It was a
He was
guy that
making
truly
his he was making his pitch on that Hall of Fame
he
speech.
actually got asked about that. People were like, "You sounded like a commissioner." He was like, "No, I'm not qualified for that."
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yet.
he's just
Yet.
also a very humble person, so you'll
Yeah.
never know if he is or not. But anyway, I just like he's not all talk. He said that, and now here he is at the Pro Bowl trying to keep it relevant. I thought the best catch thing was cool, and I thought it was genius the way they incorporated social media into it, where hey, if you tag this person in best catch, Patrick Surtain like bungee jumped and caught a ball
Yeah.
indoors.
Yeah.
Um, I thought I thought a couple things. I thought one, this is all really cool, and then B, I thought the NFL is coming off as desperate. I feel
Yeah.
like when you have like Surtain indoor bungee jumping and catching balls, and like I was just like part of me was like, okay, nobody likes to try hard. But then the other part of
Yeah.
me was like, why do you have to be what do you call like a pessimist about everything? Like just enjoy it. Stop being a dick. And I was like, this is kind of cool. It definitely was
Yeah.
cooler than what we have been doing. And then I think it
Yeah.
was halftime. They did Stefan Diggs versus the wide receiver for the Lions, Antoine St. Brown, and they
Amon-Ra
had
St. Brown.
they brought out like these they brought out these mats and they had to do like their best catch. It was like the slam dunk contest. And
Yeah.
Stefan Diggs had his brother throw in one, and they got 4 attempts and they could never connect. And Diggs kicked the ball and hit a cameraman. And Antoine St. Brown like had a couple good catches, and yeah, what is his name? Pete Davidson gave him a 6.9 on the
Yeah.
score,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
had
It's
all the
great.
people going, "This is a family show." I mean,
Yeah.
I think all in all, like if you were at the Pro Bowl this week, you would have had a effing blast. Like
Yeah.
it looked like a lot of fun. So I feel like we're also
Yeah.
how many times does this little philosophy come up that we're so used to something being terrible, like the Bengals, that when it is actually
Yeah.
good, we can't even appreciate it yet? I do think this is the first year that it's been watchable and fun in a long time,
Hmm.
and it's going to take about 3 more years of this before it makes sense to us. And
Yeah.
I think this was just kind of a weird, really fun week.
Yeah. And look, I mean, you knew the Pro Bowl was going down. It was going downhill when they took it out of Hawaii. Because a lot of guys were like, I get to go to Hawaii. This is awesome, right? And after they took Hawaii away, it was like, okay, well, it's kind of going downhill. Then the game started being boring. It's more like, are they really rushing the passer? Are they really trying to get our sack? Things like that. And it got, again, the safety thing was cool. I agree, though. The last couple years have been kind of stale. They had like NFL Madden tournaments on like PlayStation or Xbox or something like that. And I was like, okay, I mean that I guess that will be cool for gamer types, but I'm like, I kind of want to see these guys perform. This was a little cheesy. And like you said, the NFL seemed desperate to kind of like come up with something new, add celebrities to it, add the social media, like you're saying, like part aspect to it. Um, it was fun. It was a little desperate, but it seemed fun. And like you said, yeah, it's gonna take some time to get used to it. But with I completely feel that we're getting old and really the only taste of football we get is flag football. I completely get that. So it's very much like, okay, if these guys are playing flag football, that means I have a shot. But not
Yeah,
really. Yeah, but not really. So I guess I could get used to it, but it just like obviously the first year of something looks weird, right? It's
totally.
the first year of a new name change. The Washington football team to the Commanders to the Guardians in Cleveland to this to that. Certain things are just going to take time. They're going to take time. You know what I mean? So
I
I thought
agree.
I thought it was a little rough, but I mean it was somewhat entertaining when the linemen and the defensive linemen were taking those weights off of the sled. They had to take all the weights off and then they had to pull it all at once to get it across the line. I was like, someone could pull a muscle a fucking weight could fall on them, something like that. I don't know. They just need to come up with, I guess, some things that are a little bit better. But all in all, good try, NFL. Good try.
Yeah, I love seeing the precision passing. Like, that's probably one of my favorite ones every year. And what I really would like, though, is a 40-yard dash. I want to see, like, I don't know why this is so hard. Like, you have, like you said, you got people holding weights and pulling things, and it's just like, dude, I could get really drunk in my backyard and play this game. It's like, let's like
Yeah.
let's do something that people want to see, like Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf race.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, or Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, they weren't there, but like that is like the only opportunity to settle all these household debates, that exist around the world about this has got, oh, Josh Allen is going to go against Mahomes for longest ball. Like, these are things that need to happen. I don't know why the NFL is not doing it. And what about the kickers? Let's give some love to the kickers. How about farthest kick? How about
Yes.
like making the uprights narrow and seeing,
Like
just
the
making it like
XFL.
three, yeah, like making like three
Yeah.
football lengths and being like, whoever can, get 1 point, 2 points, a regular field goal, 3, but
Yeah.
you can't hit a crossbar, so the Bears kicker can't be there. Um,
Fuck you.
but or best punt too. What about best punt? That would be fun. I
Yeah.
feel like the NFL probably thinks that it wouldn't be fun, but if you have Pat McAfee calling it, an ex-punter, like I could see a whole kicking field set up with fun games and McAfee calling it. I could see that totally being a huge hit. But it's going
Yeah.
to take time. I feel
It's
like
gonna
we
take
also
time.
drive it. The public drives these
Yeah.
ideas.
I think that's going to be a lot of it is like things like these conversations that we're having. Why don't they have this? Well, why don't you have this person announce it? Why don't you have a farthest kick? Why don't you mess with the goalposts a little bit? It's conversations like this. It's chirping them on social media. It's doing all sorts of good stuff that will get the Super Bowl to a place where we could be like, oh, this is enjoyable to watch. The flag football game, yeah, sure, whatever. It's a flag football game. It's between whatever players, and it's somewhat entertaining. But now everything aside from that is so much fun. So yeah, I agree. The Pro Bowl is going to take a little bit. And again, a huge proponent of why the Pro Bowl is shifting is because of player safety. And again, I'm all for player safety. It's just going to take a lot of time getting used to it. So I think, like you said, more conversations that are being had like this are going to lead to a much more enjoyable, probably an overall better experience at the Pro Bowl. And I think if I was there at the Pro Bowl in Vegas, I think I'd have a good time too.
Yeah, and I think they also should definitely hire somebody new with their marketing, because
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I think Derek Carr had the precision passing and he crushed it. And
Yeah.
the comments were like, I didn't even know the Pro Bowl was on. And it was like 2 p.m. in the middle of the day. And I'm like, okay,
It was
like,
weird.
yeah, that's why I think a lot of us, I feel like when you start off like that, you're already like kind of got a kind of ill feeling towards the Pro Bowl. You're like, wait,
Yeah.
they're doing this right now and
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
one knew about it? It's like,
It's
okay, like,
Saturday.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, I guess the Pro Bowl's stupid then. And, like that's how people feel, honestly. So I think
Yeah.
if it was better promoted and people knew, like,
Mhm.
and this is a new era. We don't watch cable. Like, a lot of people like myself only have a Roku TV and they watch everything after it's been recorded on YouTube.
Mhm.
And you just have to get those big YouTube guys like Pat McAfee, like Colin Coward, like you got to get those guys promoting it.
Us.
Yeah, like us. We're freaking huge, dude. Do you understand the power of our fingerprint at this point? We could literally impact like 200 people at any given moment.
Absolutely.
So, uh,
Absolutely.
but we're gonna
More
get
than
there.
McAfee, more than Coward.
We're gonna get
Uh,
there. Manifesting. We're
that's
manifesting.
right. That's right.
But
No,
yeah,
it
they
was,
got to promote it better, dude. Nobody knew that this was going on.
I didn't even know. I flipped it on and I was like, I turned on YouTube TV and I was like, oh shit, the Pro Bowl's on. Sweet. All right, well,
And
let
I
me
feel like
throw it
we
on.
say that every year. Every year it
Yeah,
surprises us.
it really does. It
It
really
just
does. And
creeps up on you. You're like,
I,
what?
I, I don't know what it is. Yeah, but for sure, you're right. And let's go to a couple of the comments here. Bill saying Carr took the passing game like it was a job interview and he killed it. I like this little comment where he was like, I forget who was asking him. He's like, man,
Yeah.
you killed this precision passing, right? Like you're doing really, really well. And he's like, well, now, not well enough because I don't know where I'm going to go next year. And they were just laughing or something like that. I forget what his
Yeah,
comment was.
it was definitely throwing shade, as the kids
Oh,
would
yeah.
say. Yeah,
Throwing shade as
he
a
was throwing
use.
shade, and there was no capping. 100.
Hunted,
100.
goated. Jack saying that the 7-7 was such a joke. Yeah. Again, it's just gonna take some getting used to. You know what I mean? It's just gonna take some getting used to, and I agree. Like it just seemed like dumb, but again, just gonna take some getting used to,
Yeah.
and it should be fun. Hopefully, it'll be fun in the future.
Honestly, if Lil Wayne was there instead of Pete Davidson, I think it would have been a lot better. I'd rather see Lil Wayne. I love when he's talking sports.
That's true. That's true. All right. So that was a Pro Bowl. Was it good? Maybe. Well, people are going to have differing opinions, but let's move on now to just some quick NFL news that's been around the NFL for the past week or so. I'll start off real quick with probably the biggest news today, and that is that AJ Green has finally hung up the cleats after 12 seasons in the NFL. He is retired. AJ Green took to his Instagram and said, "I've never been a man of many words, so I'll keep this short." Very Tom Brady-esque. Thank you to all who have supported, encouraged, and inspired me throughout my career. Thank you to the University of Georgia, Cincinnati Bengals, and Arizona Cardinals for the opportunity to pursue my dreams. I stayed true to the game, and it owes me nothing. Be blessed. Love y'all. The next chapter begins. AJ Green retired with a career 727 receptions, 10,514 receiving yards, 70 receiving touchdowns over 12 seasons. And he was one of only 4 players selected at every Pro Bowl from 2011 to 2017. He had like 4 or 5 seasons straight of 1,000-yard seasons. It's
Yeah.
insane. AJ Green was good. He was very underrated, and he did go to the playoffs with the Bengals quite a bit, but they always, lost in the first round as expected. But man, if he was like on a team that was good in the early 2000s, like he would probably be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he definitely, when he was good, he was great.
Yeah.
He gives me a lot of Julio Jones vibes. Just
Yeah.
a lot of the injury bug kind of stuff, but yeah, I feel old, man. I feel old because now
Yeah.
I'm not
Same.
just watching Tom Brady retire. I'm watching players that I was a teenager when they were drafted retire.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a different feeling.
Yeah.
We're getting there. So AJ Green's retired. I think he had a really good career. I wouldn't say Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Um,
No, probably not.
it'll definitely be one of those that like get nominated, but I don't know if it'll pull through. Um,
He was
almost I
very
feel
good.
like yeah,
He
I
was very
almost
good.
feel like he and Demarius Thomas were very similar, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say Demarius Thomas, I would take him just because he stayed healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But just another one of those like guys you want on your team, but they're not Hall of Famers. I think.
Exactly, exactly. Again, very good stats, very good career overall, and he's very good, but probably not a Hall of Famer, but he did retire today. Um, Another one here, Aaron Rodgers was at a golf tournament, and he was getting a little chirped at here and there, asked where he's going to play. And Rodgers was still very much vague about his answers. Kyle, you got a little bit more on this little nugget of a
Yeah.
story.
So they've been so basically when if you've ever been to a golf tournament, like the crowd just kind of hovers around the players.
Mm,
And last year, Rogers was doing the same tournament, and it was like, come to Denver, come to Denver. And I remember he looks back at one of them, he goes, we'll see. And that was like the greatest thing we've ever heard in our life, because it's like he didn't say no, he said we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah.
And this year it's the Raiders. That is the
Mm-hmm.
one. I know you're hearing stuff from the Jets, but the Raiders, there's a chance that the Raiders fans get drunker than other fans, so maybe that's why they were yelling the most. But from what Roger said, he said a lot of the chanting and stuff was coming from Raider fans, and they're saying, "Come on, come to the Raiders, come to the Raiders." And what did Rogers? Did he actually reply to? He said something.
Can't
Um,
remember if he said anything, but he said
you know
something
what? He
like,
probably said, "We'll see."
yeah, he probably said the same thing. And it was also more or less like, I don't know where I'm going. I may retire, pondering the future. The future's still up for, whatever. So he was probably very vague about it.
Yeah, and then they asked Devontae Adams, they asked his comments like, "What would you think about Aaron Rodgers coming?" And he was like, "Well, I mean, that's my guy, like 100%." And
Yeah,
they're like, "What recruiting tool would you kind of use to get him here?" And he's like, "I'm here."
there you go.
That's my recruitment. So, I always felt like Aaron Rodgers was definitely going to retire a Packer, but uh especially when he stayed a Packer last year, it was like, no, this is for sure done. But I think Aaron Rodgers may feel like I know how Rodgers thinks, and I
Hmm.
think if he believes that he's hindering another person's ability to thrive, that he would leave, he would remove himself. And I think if he gets to a point where he's like, I think Jordan Love could be really good, and I think I might actually be, I might be doing
Fuck.
what Brett Favre did to me, because I was ready to go and Favre had me sit on
Yeah.
the sideline for 4 or 5 years. I don't want to do the same thing Favre did to me. I'm leaving and I'm doing that for Jordan Love. And I think
Yeah.
the Raiders could be a spot for him because Las Vegas, big market, it makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, they had that new stadium. They got Devontae Adams. Why not? Why not? Why not join that team? Um,
I hope
so
he
we'll
not. I hope not. Fuck. God. Sorry.
Oh, but you want Jordan Love to be good for my Bears? Fuck you. I hope Aaron Rodgers does go to fucking
Dude, that would
Vegas,
be
you
good for you.
asshole.
You don't know if Jordan Love's going to be good or not.
Yeah. Good point. So we have 3 hires, 2 of which we'll get out of the way just so Kyle could talk about the biggest one. One of the bigger actually one of the smaller ones, Joe Woods, formerly the Browns defensive coordinator, is expected to be hired as the Saints defensive coordinator. Um, it was reported Monday by Ian Rappaport. I think this is a good move by the Saints. Their defense, I feel like the Saints defense has either always been pretty good or they are always like in that in between zone of like they can be good, but their stars are underperforming, or they're just not good, but their stars are performing really well, but the rest of the defense just hasn't caught up. So maybe Joe Woods, after coming off a pretty good season with the Browns defense, he had Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney. He's got a lot of good guys there on that defense for the Browns for the last couple of years. I think this is kind of like a sneaky good move for the Saints to bring in a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I do too, because the Saints defense was I think they were good at something. I think it was pass defense. I think they were good on pass
They're
defense, but
they're always good at one thing.
yeah, but they can't like put the whole thing together.
Exactly.
But it just doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter because you need a quarterback, and
Yeah, that's true. That's
they
true.
don't have one right now. And in order for them, and I know Mickey Loomis is a really good GM that they have over there.
Mhm.
And he's not gonna just go into any kind of drought. Like he's not gonna Cleveland Brown because Sean Payton's gone.
Yeah.
He's gonna do what he's got to do, and I think he's gonna make good hires, and this is one of those. But the elephant in the room, you need a quarterback, and it'll be interesting to see because Derek Carr is a guy that I'm thinking too. I thought about Derek Carr
Hey.
to Tennessee. Now I'm thinking Derek Carr to New Orleans. But here is what I'll tell you, and you can bet money on this. When the 2023 Week 1 kicks off, the New Orleans Saints will not have a better quarterback than what they had before, but they will have a guy that we consider tier 1, tier 2 fringe, right? So
Wow. All
I
right.
would say the worst quarterback they'll end up with is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, hot takes from Kyle already early before the Super Bowl is even concluded. You're getting hot takes from Kyle.
I'm
So
just
we're gonna
always thinking
definitely,
about this stuff. I'm
yeah.
just always thinking about this stuff.
It's always he's on his phone. Oh my god, he's Adam Scheftering right now. Um, next one, Minnesota. Minnesota made another a good hire. They are set to
Assholes.
hire. Sorry, they didn't hire. They are set to hire the Steelers linebackers coach, senior defensive assistant Brian Flores as its new defensive coordinator. Now, Minnesota, bad defense last year. Bad defense. It obviously killed them So during some games, during some really good teams, led them to that negative point differential as like a 13-win team. And obviously in the playoffs, it looked just as bad. And
Yeah.
it was almost like highlighted that they were that bad. So they got rid of their old defense coordinator, bringing in Brian Flores. This is a really good move for them. Brian Flores, a defensive minded coach, obviously, right? Um, good pick up by the Vikings because that's what they need to improve. That's what they need to improve to be better. Now, as a Bears fan, this sucks because they're going to get better on defense and they've already got a stellar cast of offensive players, but they're going to get better on defense. Kyle, are you thinking at any for any chance, I guess whatever, that the Vikings are going to be one of the top teams with this hire next weekend with that defense
Well,
next year?
I thought that they would I thought that they would be good this year, and I would say they were, but like you said, we talked about it all season long. Like their
Mm-hmm.
defense is so bad. They have such a
Yeah,
bad defense
yeah,
that anybody could just have their way with um with this team. So I think it was almost one of those things that they had to do. And if I had to sum this how I felt when I saw this in one word, it would be barnacles because because the
barnacles.
Broncos because the Broncos had Evero, who's close with Nathaniel Hackett, didn't like the
Mm-hmm.
way Nathaniel Hackett got fired, so the Broncos released his rights. We were hoping we could hang on to him.
Oh,
Then
that's
2 days
right.
later, he goes with the Panthers and moves over there. And then Sean Payton's like, okay, my guy's Vic Fangio. Gets hired by the Dolphins. So
Yeah,
so then Brian Flores was the hot name that the Broncos were after. He interviewed with the Broncos, and then the Vikings they stole him, and it didn't make sense to me really because Brian Flores filed that lawsuit about um, I forgot the discrimination policies in the
yeah. I guess the
NFL,
Dolphins. Yep.
and the Broncos were on that list because they said John Elway showed up to the interview like clearly like not in good shape from drinking like late and something or like that.
Hammered, hammered.
Which they started alligating like it was like, dude, we honestly we had a black head coach right before that point, so I didn't understand like why. But from the front office point, they said I don't know why they would say that. Like we're not like that, and now you see like we have the most diverse ownership group.
Yeah.
Um, but that's why I thought it was strange. I'm like, does Flores even want to come here after what he said about the Broncos? Like, why would he
Yeah.
want to come back here if he believed that kind of stuff? But I was like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
maybe bygones are bygones, and maybe he's like, well, we don't know the personal details, but whatever. He didn't come here. I wasn't that surprised because of
Mm-hmm.
everything I just mentioned. And I do believe that the Vikings are going to be the best team in the NFC next year.
Oh wow, wow! Another spicy take by Kyle. Mark that. Mark that. All right. So now the biggest one, and we talked about it, I believe, on the Wednesday or Monday episode last week. Sean Payton was finally introduced as the Denver Broncos' newest head coach on Monday at the team's headquarters in Englewood, Colorado.
Yes.
Kyle, he said some things you really, really, really liked, especially about Russ Wilson. But I'm just gonna kick it over to you to go ahead and talk about him.
Okay, so I have watched the Denver Broncos head coach go from we had I don't know if you remember this, but we had Gary Kubiak for 1 year, and
Yeah, yep.
he won the Super Bowl. But after him, we moved on. We had Vance Joseph, who I was just talking about, and then we went from him to Vic Fangio, and it's like we're constantly searching for these guys, and that didn't work. Then Nathaniel Hackett, and I watched all of these press conferences, and I've always felt like after watching them, like we're in good shape. And it's actually funny to go back and watch these and look at the YouTube comments from 5 years ago. That's like, this is the guy we needed and stuff. And Sean Payton's today, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
say I saw it immediately and I clicked on it because for some reason it almost feels like it's not real until you see that press conference.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is a 10 to 15-year thing, I'll always remember the day that this happened today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just looked like Sean Payton was not like the other ones. He didn't have notes. He is very intentional. He said that there needs to be towels in the seats. The towels
Mhm.
need to be bigger. The ones you're using aren't big enough. We need to distract the people. And he said, if you're going to be that intentional with the game of football, you have to be that intentional with the weight room and with he sounded like an owner. And George
Yeah.
Payton was always kind of chest puffed out. He was always like the big guy in the room.
Mhm.
Even though the owner was there, it was like, he's trusted me. I'm confident. I'm telling you, George Payton, he looked like he was um, kind of submitting to Sean Payton's like everything about him. Was just kind of
Yeah.
like Sean Payton had the biggest personality in the room. So
Mhm.
yeah, he just was going on about the towels need to be bigger, and he didn't make any promises. They asked him a lot of questions like, what do you predict will happen now? He gave, you could tell that just information was just pouring out of his mouth. Like,
Mhm.
it was like, if you didn't feel good before that interview, you definitely by the end of it were like, wow, what a breath of fresh air.
You feel good.
When's the last time we had a person like this in our building?
Yeah.
As far as Russell Wilson, they asked them, is Russell Wilson fixable? And he's like, we're going to go and we're going to see everything that he likes to do. Like, you can't, karaoke's no good if they don't have the lyrics. Like, we can't,
Yeah.
we need to watch the film and see where he excels and do those things. And that's what we're going to do. And they asked him about, obviously, Russell Wilson has his own staff and his own quarterback team, and he's got 2 parking spots, and he's got keys to the
Yep.
building, and he had all this extra stuff. And they asked Sean Payton about it. They said they asked Sean Payton about Russell Wilson having personal coaches and staff in the building. He said, "Yeah, that's foreign to me. That's not going to happen here."
That was a
So
huge thing. I think that
yeah,
like really caught the attention of people was like that's for like as a head coach of an NFL football team in the past, that does not slide. So that to me really stood out.
yeah, no, it did to me too. And you just see Sean Payton. He demands respect. And I think with Russell Wilson kind of being in this kind of stardom world with Sierra, he's used to like, no cameras, no cameras, but yes, cameras, like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just like,
Mr.
Mr.
Live.
Unlimited. And Russell
It's
Wilson,
so
look,
bad.
I'll say this too. Russell Wilson is very cringy, and we all know
Yep.
that. And
Yep.
I talk about the media a lot, and I just did earlier, but I'm going to say one more thing. The media also drives narratives like this. So Russell Wilson had we looked at his QBR, his touchdowns, his completion
Mhm.
percentage, all of that. The last 3 years before he became a Bronco, there were three
Mhm.
quarterbacks that even there's only 3 quarterbacks that had similar stats, and I'll name 2 of them. It was Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Those were the
Mhm.
only 2 that were comparable. And I really believe that if Rodgers or Mahomes had a bad year, it would be Nathaniel Hackett's garbage. Nathaniel Hackett, he's a piece of crap. Like, he doesn't know how to
Yeah.
use him. But it was Russell Wilson. We don't like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's cringy. Russell Wilson's not
Mhm.
cool. Russell Wilson is an easy person to throw eggs at. So
Yeah.
when this happened, it's not Nathaniel Hackett. It's Russell Wilson's washed. I do not believe that Russell Wilson has jumped off the biggest cliff that we have ever witnessed in our entire life. There was a reason that people were excited when he made this trade. There was a reason he was worth 2 first-round picks. So honestly, I do think Sean Payton is going to fix him. And I don't only think he's going to fix what we're seeing on the field,
Mhm.
he's going to fix all that other shit that Russell Wilson does that he thinks he's entitled to, that you're
Yeah.
not a coach,
Yeah.
you're a player, and you
Yeah.
will. And Nathaniel Hackett, it's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. They're buddies. They go bowling together. They like to go
Yeah.
golfing. Russell Wilson didn't need to go to a Red Hot Chili Pepper concert with Nathaniel Hackett or Shawn Mendes, whoever it was in Denver, or go to the
Mhm.
Nuggets game before the season started. They needed to be coaching his ass and telling him to turn his keys in. He doesn't need keys.
Mhm.
He's a player. So
Mhm.
Sean Payton's going to come in here, and Sean Payton is very old school, but he also incorporates a lot of new school. Like he said, I want the speakers upgraded in the locker room so that when the away teams come in, they can hear us celebrating after we win.
Yeah.
And
Crush
then he,
them.
yeah, and he was like, those are culture building things, and we're
Mhm.
gonna build a culture here. And there's a culture of winning, there's a culture of losing. Right now, there's been a culture of losing. But that's not what Denver is. He's like, I'm honored to be a head coach amongst great other people. And I mean, he's just made no promises. He did not say we're going to the playoffs, we're going to the Super Bowl, but he did promise that the bullshit stops now and the hard work is going to start now.
Yeah, and I what I really like too is we were mentioning it earlier. These quarterbacks, these players, and these coaches are matched up, and they are both so good. Patrick Mahomes with Andy Reid, Bill Belichick with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning with Tony Dungy. This could be one of those like later in their careers type of somewhat of an Andy Reid moment for Sean Payton and somewhat of a Tom Brady moment for Russ Wilson. Both late in their careers, right, can make those jumps where it's a very successful duo. And this could really make Denver like one of those top teams in the AFC moving forward with both of these guys at the helm. Shit, Von Miller might even come back to the Broncos. That's how good they're going to be, right? Like
Stop.
just yeah, like these are just some of the things that you have to look forward to, and and this could very well be one of those moments again where you're just like could look back in a decade and be like that was the moment where the success began again for both of these guys, for Sean Payton and for Russ Wilson. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that you have this like this great coach, and Russ Wilson who has a lot of money on the table and has a lot of catching up to do in terms of his contract and his play. So I hope you guys can be very good in the AFC. It's going to be tough to knock off the Chiefs, but man, that's a very great competitive, division there, depending on who goes to the Raiders. But those three teams, the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs, are going to make the AFC, hopefully, like what we said last preseason, one of the best divisions in football.
I think so. And it reminds me of the Karate Kid when the kid finds out who that other kid is. And he's like, I
Yeah.
want you to train me. And he like, what does he do? He stands there with like a cup of water for like the first week, or he like
Yeah.
does nothing. And he's like, I wanted you to train me. And he's like, I was like, Russell Wilson said he wanted Sean Payton to come in. He's called him
Yeah.
and said, I want you.
Yeah.
Well, get ready for it
Get
because
ready
he's
for it,
coming.
motherfucker.
Yeah, get ready for it. He's coming. And he also clarified that rumor about Sean Payton needs all this power. He's like, I don't know where that stuff comes from. He's like, me and Mickey Loomis had a great, I can't think of one time we butted heads on draft picks, players,
Yeah.
contracts, anything. He was like, we all need to work together. And like this idea that I demand all this power is not true. So I thought that was cool that he clarified. Like, it just seems like everybody, well, we're in a honeymoon stage right now, but
Yeah.
it feels like everybody's just working and it's all flowing. Condoleezza Rice, everything's just like
Mm,
amazing. And
yeah.
we'll see how it transpires, but definitely
Definitely.
another Rocky Mile high expectation that hopefully doesn't crush us. We're going back to the Peyton Manning years.
There he is. There's Kyle. There he is. Oh man, it's gonna be a good time for Broncos fans. It's a great time to be a Broncos fan. And obviously the Nathaniel Hackett experiment didn't work, but now you're moving on to bigger and better things. And all the best luck from this Bears fan to you.
Thank you. We're
Of
gonna need
course,
it.
of course. All right. Well, that was the episode today. Bill said he tweeted you the video later,
Oh,
airing at the
sick.
golf
Thanks,
course.
Bill.
So check out that. And I want to give a huge shout out to not only Bill, but Jack, Philly Sports Talk Podcast, Tyler, who was in here super early. My mom was in here, Unseen Pets.
Shout
Cheers
out,
to you
Mom.
guys. Thank you for being in the stream, in the chat. We always appreciate your guys' support, liking the video, sharing it, just having a conversation with us. We always appreciate you guys. And again, a big shout out to and I feel like I should probably do this at least once a week. shout out to Tom Grassi for bringing you guys over. And and
Shout
doing
out
the
Tom
raid.
Grassi.
Yeah, shout out to Tom Grassi. We really appreciate it, man, and really appreciate all you guys again coming on here and talking football with us. Other than that, Kyle, where can they follow you on Twitter so they can send you videos like Bill has? Which, by the way, Bill, you're commenting on all our videos. You're sending us tweets. I love it. I love the interactions with you. They're always fun. But Kyle, where
Same
can
here.
they find you on? Yeah, well, Kyle, where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me at FTBL Only Football Podcast.
FTBL Only Podcast.
FT.
This is the first time Kyle's ever fucked up his Twitter name. Wow, I am seeing history. I am seeing history.
FTBL Only Podcast. Only Football Podcast. Please follow me for all my retweets. If you are following me, then you got to see that interview in real time today. And I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, chives. Time for the chives.
Time for that. Well, let me wrap it up. I'm gonna give it to you in a bit here to wrap it up with the chives. You could follow me at And Now Rick on Twitter, and you can follow the Star 6 Media page at _Star 6 Media page at Star 6 Media. And you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch at Star 6 Media. Go check out all our other shows. If you're interested in something else other than football, we've got a plethora of shows for you guys to get into. Hockey, whether it be hockey, football, us here at Only Football. You've got 3 Up, 3 Down for baseball. We've got MMA and boxing. We've got it all for you guys. So go definitely check out the Star 6 Media page and check out the other podcast when we do go live with those other shows, as well as on YouTube and everything else we got on. So, Kyle, wrap it up with the chives. What do you got?
Game on the line. Who gets the ball? Kyrie or what is it? Doncic.
Doncic? Luka Doncic?
Doncic. No, that's not it. That's not it.
Oh, a basketball question. I was like, no way.
No. They I had to. They asked Sean Payton if the orange tie meant anything that he wore before the news broke out that he was going to be their coach. And he said it did. It was intentional. It was subliminal. You're not crazy.
No.
It meant something ahead of time. And then he said this. He said, you don't understand. Everything I do is intentional. He said, look at my Bronco pin. You see where the horse is facing? Up. He said, look at my scarf. The Bronco scarf. You see how it's pointing up? He's like, it was like all symbolical, and he goes through his scarf and his pin. And I'm just like, dude, this guy is intentional. This guy is intentional, and he's the real deal. I'm gonna send that to you after this.
All right, please do.
I'll tweet it so you guys can all watch it too.
Yes. Yeah. Tweet it, tag me in it, and everybody go check out Kyle's Twitter, FTBL Only Podcast, which you fucked up. But all right, Kyle, thanks for wrapping up the episode like you always do. And again, thank you guys for tuning in and commenting. We will see you guys next time. See ya!